Job done. Again, the ultimate evil's army stood before the gates of King's Ending. The last heroes of the Alliance had gathered. It was time. The troops of the absolute evil had driven the Alliance back to their capital, King's Ending. The time for the final battle had arrived. Prepare to destroy the Alliance, and with it, all good in the land once and for all. Job done. Again, the ultimate evil's army stood before the gates of King's Ending. The last heroes of the Alliance had gathered here again to ensure it was time. The troops of the... Once upon a time there was a kingdom full of flowers and rainbows, where the sun shone. After countless battles, the forces of the absolute evil reached the Alliance capital, King's Ending. The laughable remnants of the forces of good had come here to make ready for the final battle. Evil would pay a high price indeed to storm those fortress walls, or so they thought. Suddenly, a rumble rose from deep. With earth-shaking steps, the unstoppable evil began its trek towards the front. In the terribly improbable event that it may have forgotten how that works, a formidable help function has been provided. The presence of the absolute evil was also reflected in the land itself. Grass withered, and in places the ground tore open to reveal bubbling lava. Even the forest could not withstand the aura of the ultimate evil, and beat a hasty retreat. A few of the Alliance units had entrenched themselves here. A determined absolute evil marched towards them in order to strike them down with its mighty weapon. absolute evil had discovered a medal. These legendary awards ensured a creature could be made even more powerful. Only one downside, the creature could only wear one at a time. Eyes ablaze with greed, the insidious evil gazed upon the blood-drenched battlefield. Here the last defenders of good would die, and an age of evil would begin. Projectiles from the Alliance's catapults darkened the sky, but the Horde's fighting skills were at their best in darkness, if they survived. Nothing and no one could stop the invincible evil. Absolute evil destroyed the defenders' camp in the east with the greatest of ease. Now, only one tiny camp offers any resistance to the absurdly evil evil. The forces of good never had a chance against the absolute evil. Absolute evil destroyed the defenders' camp in the west with the greatest of ease. The defenders in front of the city had been beaten to a pulp and defeated. Now the time had come to attack King's Ending. The final battle beckoned. But what's this? The wicked evil was hesitating. Rather than taking the fastest route to the city gate was firmly barricaded by the Alliance's archers. But the absolute evil would not allow itself to be held up by such a ridiculous impediment. So, go get them! Destroy them now! Ha 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 ha! Oh yes, sorry, stay in character. The absolute evil used its all-powerful magic to eliminate the archers and open the gate to the city. The absolute evil had a good long think, but at precisely that exact moment, it decided to act and to deploy its overwhelming magic powers. Using its legend, wait for it, dairy powers, the absolute evil destroyed the impediment with ease and simultaneously eliminated a whole group of defenders. True story. The road to the capital was now clear. The absolute evil did not hesitate for even 1 nanosecond. Actually, the insidious evil entered King's Ending. A small, pitiful group of defenders stood at the door. Suddenly, The doors of several houses in the city opened, and with a loud roar, defenders bore down on the rather surprised Evil. An ambush. The invincible Evil had crushed the defenders. King's Ending had been defeated. At least, that's what he thought. Suddenly, the final heroes of the Alliance emerged from nowhere. Another ambush? Now, this was becoming very boring. But wait, this time it was different. Instead, the heroes raised their hands and started singing an incomprehensible chant. A magical ritual? This did not bode well. Well, actually, it bode the arrival of... Job done. Again, the ultimate Evil's army stood before the gates of King's Ending. Somewhere in the depths of the dungeon, the ultimate Evil... The last remaining heroes of the country joined forces and cast a powerful banishment spell. And the Hand of Terror arose, controlled by the ultimate Evil. Come on, Hand of Terror, arise, damn you! Methinks that exploring the surrounding area would be a sensible strategy. However, to do this, light would be required. Still not bright enough. An old throne room was revealed by the light. The circumstances remained a mystery. The Hand of Terror flew through the throne room, following each and every thought the ultimate Evil had. After a few flying sessions, the ultimate Evil was able to control the hand with ease. The time had come to call forth creatures who were completely devoted to it and would do its dirty work. Little Snots were the dregs of each and every dungeon and spent their time taking care of it. The expansion-mad Evil hired one Snot on the spot. The first little Snot appeared. It was completely ready to work in the dungeon and to crawl in the dust before the ultimate Evil. Little Snots were important to the ultimate Evil because they took care of many important little things, such as excavating new areas. The magically gifted Evil could sense the presence of something important that was buried to the south. It instructed its little Snots to dig in that direction. Good grief. Have you ever played a game? Please select the highlighted area in order for it to be excavated, or look at the help where you will find detailed explanations of what to do. Now, move it. The little snots still didn't know what they were meant to be doing. At last, the hand of terror marked the area to be excavated. The ultimate evil hesitated a little. Would there be dangers lurking in the south, which it would not yet be able to defeat? He quickly dismissed this idea. After all, it was, after all, the ultimate evil. What could possibly pose a threat to it out there? Except, of course, that group of heroes who had banished it once before. As quick as a fart, the little snot made his way to the marked position and began to dig. Behold, the creatures of the overjoyed evil had apparently been much more industrious than it had thought. A great dungeon was revealed behind the wall. Everything was already in place. Doors, traps, a well-filled treasury. Oh, wait. Treasury? And where, if you please, is this treasury? Oh, well. One can't expect too much of these mindless little snots. First of all, some gold had to be dug out to make space for a treasury to be created. The hand of terror swiftly marked a few small gold veins so that the little snots could excavate them. The dungeon of the expansion-mad evil grew and prospered, but unfortunately, it had reached the maximum possible population it could currently manage. Now a creature would have to be thrown into the bottomless pit before any others could be brought in. The creature disappeared into the pit of uselessness with a long, drawn, and gradually diminishing This particular act of wickedness brought a smile to the face of the ultimate evil. As soon as the gold vein was selected, a little snot immediately set out to mine valuable gold for the greedy evil. Once most of the gold had been mined, the Hand of Terror quickly created a treasury on the spot so that the precious metal could be safely stored. The clever evil mastered this task with flying colours. From now on, little snots could use the treasury to store mined gold. It was then at the greedy evil's disposal whenever more rooms needed to be built or new creatures recruited. Little snots were all well and good, but were too weak and cowardly to defend the dungeon. Since it was not able to defend itself, the ultimate evil would have to hire some orcs. But they would require food. Liquid food. Well, beer to be precise. So the next important thing to build was a brewery, and that would require some space to be created. The ultimate evil had the feeling that its servants were not really putting their backs into the work. Might a hearty slap from the Hand of Terror change that? Now an area cleared for the brewery site, and with quick finger snaps from the Hand of Terror, the room stood ready. But the recently built brewery lacked a brewing copper. With a sigh of resignation, the overworked evil set about taking care of it. The sadistic evil encouraged its creature to work a little faster, with a friendly but not at all gentle snap. Hard-working evil effortlessly built a brewing copper so that delicious beer could be brewed as soon as possible. One of the little snots started working on the brewing copper. The nostalgic evil banished all thoughts of Oktoberfest and brass bands. Those would have to wait. More important tasks had to be completed first. Both beer and gold were now available in the dungeon, so it was time to hire some creatures to defend against greedy heroes or whatever else snuck around underground. At present, it was only simple orcs declaring undying loyalty to the ultimate evil. The rest of the horde was scattered to the winds. Orcs were defensive close combat specialists, capable of dealing with many opponents. However, they were very vulnerable to ranged attacks. It's payday. An eerie gong rang through the halls. It did not bode well for the Ultimate Evil's treasury stocks, for at each sounding of the gong, the creatures would collect their undeserved wages. However, there was little it could do about this, as it was chained to the throne. Thus, it had to give free rein to its servants' desires, for the time being at least. Suddenly, one of the repellent evil's servants became very thirsty. This was typical of a troop member of the unanonymous alcoholics known as the Horde. The dipso made his way to the nearest brewery to quench his thirst. A thirsty orc arrived at the brewery. Eager and slavering, he started demolishing the alcohol-hoarding evil's stock of beer. One louse-infested orc crawled up from the depths and declared allegiance to the Ultimate Evil. The first step towards the creation of a powerful army had been taken. The Profound Evil had had enough of dungeon sightseeing and now wanted to move to the surface to try a dish that is best served cold. Revenge. Some Alliance members were bound to be guarding the entrance to the overworld. A fine appetizer for a vengeful evil. The little snots found a healing potion in a hidden room. This was able to restore one of the Ultimate Evil's creatures to full health. Nameless Evil's creatures came upon a spider's nest during their search for an entrance to the overworld. It would take more than one orc to smoke that out. The abysmal evil used the Hand of Terror to grab several of the creatures that were still completely inexperienced at fighting and threw them onto the spider's nest. Apologies, but a narrator has got to earn a living too, so we interrupt this game for a short commercial message. Buy games from Calypso. Lots of games. Thank you. End of commercial. The cowardly evil was still hesitant to pick up its creatures and throw them onto the fight. Was there no other way? Could this not be resolved peacefully? Is it not true that violence only breeds more violence? Instead, the peaceful evil now planned to get its troops to make daisy chains. But flowers only grow in the overworld, and for that, it had to get past the spiders. The ultimate evil had not yet picked up any of its creatures, because it was actually somewhat disgusted by the orcs. Unsurprising, really, as cleanliness was a foreign concept for orcs. Spiders dropped like flies. The strategically well-versed evil patted itself on the back, proud that it had led its troops into battle with such aplomb. And by led, I just simply mean chucking them at the enemy. The basics of a dungeon were now in place. However, the brewery was puny and didn't really have room to store beer barrels in, and the treasury was also anything but impressive in size. Quickly, the expansion-hungry evil set out to enlarge its dungeon.
The evil has awoken, but its brothers are still asleep.
Huh? What on earth was that? That's not in my script. What a weirdo. No matter. We'd better get back to concentrating on the dungeon. Huge monstrosity loomed out of the darkness on 8 legs. This dungeon's human guards had been ancient history for a long while. Now it was home to a huge spider and her brood. Would Sam and Frodo escape it and continue their journey to Mount Doom, or was this the end of the Ring-Bearer? Hang on a minute, that's not the right text. Where were we? Oh yes, a huge spider, henceforth called the Spider Queen. It would be necessary to eliminate the Spider Queen before the horde could reach the surface. The Spider Queen sent forth a wave of her children. Of course, the ultimate evil was fully aware of this danger and immediately prepared to defend itself against them. That's what I heard. And another wave of spiders set out to destroy the ultimate evil. The Spider Queen again sent her children out to attack the dungeon, even though this tactic had failed the last time. A certain AI programmer could really have made a bit more of an effort with this. It's payday. And another wave of spiders set out to destroy the ultimate evil. The Spider Queen again sent her children out to attack the dungeon, even though this tactic had failed the last time. A certain AI programmer could really have made a bit more of an effort with this. The creatures of the ultimate evil suddenly developed a craving for chocolate. And another wave of spiders set out to destroy the ultimate evil. The vile perversion, once called the Spider Queen, had nothing more with which she could fight the Horde. Later, the sensitive evil would have her innards made into a lava lamp. The way to the surface. Again, the ultimate evil's army stood before the gates of King's Ending. The last heroes of the Alliance are gathered here again to ensure good was victor. Once the ultimate evil had escaped from the depths, still According to scouts, King Robert spent most of his time for the age classification folk. The warmongering evil had hired the first orc. As ancient wisdom says, violence is a solution, usually the only one. The steady pounding in the rocks had given rise to overworld rumors of a new dungeon. A group of heroes set out to plunder its riches, and the ultimate evil was already looking forward to this visit. Right now, the restricted evil was only able to call upon orcs and little snots. But there had been rumors that some goblins were hiding out in a cave somewhere close by. The exploratory evil would be sure to follow this line of inquiry. Another orc entered the service of the military-savvy evil. The horde was growing and prospering. The heroes didn't know what had hit them, as several orcs bore down from nowhere and annihilated them. This group of heroes had plundered their last dungeon, but there would be more. The first treasury was completed. Soon greedy evil's little snots would fill it with gold. You know the golden rule, right? Whoever has the gold makes the rules. Ultimate evil should never forget to keep a watchful eye on its beer and gold stores. If its creatures can't help themselves whenever they need to, they will get angry fast. The time to attack appeared to be right. On the surface, in the tavern of a small, miserable village, some adventurers gathered. They were acquiring Dutch courage for their visit to the dungeon by downing several beers. The dungeon had to be destroyed. Enemies have entered the dungeon. The ultimate evil slowly made itself cozy underground. Although this was a sensible decision, there was a large and lovely overworld out there, just waiting to be destroyed. It's payday. The first brewery was completed. Soon beer would be flowing like a river, and an Oktoberfest atmosphere would pervade all. Would the ultimate evil put the beer baron out of business? There are enemies in your dungeon. Your throne room is under attack. It's payday. defend the throne room.